Assalamu alaikum. A couple of days back, I posted that the IELTS test in Saudi Arabia is more expensive than in Egypt, even after the recent increase of test fees in Egypt. I didn't say anything about that increase being fair or unfair. I merely stated the fact and assumed that people will understand what I mean. But most of the comments, unfortunately, were sharp and unfair, to say the least, as if I were supporting the increase. The main criticism was that my comparison was wrong and that the fee should be cheaper in Egypt since Saudi's economy is better off. Whereas I respect this opinion and I respect the people who politely put it forward, I think it would be helpful to explain how this policy works. To understand how this works, let's take things beyond IELTS to the basics and then come back to see what I really meant by my post. This policy is called dual pricing, where you have the price of the same commodity different in two different countries, which is a huge field of study for economists, but we as non-specialists can still talk about some of its simple concepts, which I reckon would help people understand what I wrote. See, if you have a product fully locally produced, such as table salt, for example, it will be cheaper than table salt locally produced in a richer country such as Britain, for example. So in Egypt, 700 grams of salt is almost 10 Egyptian pounds. Whereas in the UK, 700 grams of salt is £1.80, which is equal to 110 Egyptian pounds. So fully locally produced salt is 11 times cheaper in Egypt. Now take a different commodity, also locally produced, chicken breasts. In Egypt, 1 kilo of chicken breasts is 250 Egyptian pounds, or 4 pounds sterling, whereas it's about 12 pounds sterling in Britain. This time Egypt is only 3 times cheaper than in the UK. But why? Because unlike salt, part of the commodity is imported. More than 70% of poultry feed is imported. How about 100% imported commodities? Simply the price will be the same as in the country of origin. You pay $20,000 for a car in Korea. A person in Egypt pays 1 million Egyptian pounds for the same car in Egypt, not to mention customs and tariffs, of course. And if your currency devaluates more, you pay more for the same car. This is an oversimplified explanation, which I hope is clear. The more the imported parts or ingredients that go in the production of a commodity, the higher its price will be the less fortunate countries. ابو حميد عمال تحكي لنا على ملح الطعام وتشيكن ناجتس وعربيات اتكلم على بوست الايلتس. Okay, going back to my post, and the question is IELTS a locally produced or imported product? It is an imported product. Then logically, the owners of IELTS want to maximize their profit. They want to make as much money as possible in each and every country IELTS is conducted without making it too expensive that people cannot afford it, and without losing a market share to a competitor such as the cheaper TOEFL IBT. So as you can see, saying an imported service should be cheaper in a country A than in a richer country B just because the average income in country A is less is not the priority for the service provider, no matter what we, the consumers, think. What is the solution then? As a matter of fact, the solution must go beyond IELTS to the very economy of the whole country. We need to manufacture more and import less so that the average income increases. Believe me, I hate to see the prices of anything go up in Egypt, but the wrong response would be to attack car manufacturers, appliance manufacturers, clothing factories, pharmaceutical companies, Microsoft and Google, and a long list of imported products and services every time the prices go up. We are beating around the bush. We need to get to the bottom of the problem. Our economy is the problem. The GDP of Singapore and Egypt is almost the same, around $465-70 billion. But Singapore is only 5.6 million people with no resources. Egypt is 111 million people and full of resources of all sorts. While some people criticize the post I had written as if I were the person who pumped up the fee, some friends friends who know me well benefited from the post. Some decided to take the test in Egypt in their holiday instead of taking it in the Gulf countries where they live. Some other friends from Egypt decided to take the test sooner because they can foresee it will get more expensive if this increase passes off peacefully without any backlash. I hope this video explained everything to you and that everyone reads between the lines and understands the message. And I also hope that I don't find even more misconstrued comments under the video. Salam.